Hey guys, Xaryu here, and today I have a very special guest, Raiku, the current highest rated player in the world, the most recent BlizzCon Champion, well, from 2019 BlizzCon, reigning BlizzCon Champion Raiku, and today we're going to sit down and talk about Mage for the next however long we need to talk about it. Lots of stuff to flesh out here. How's it going, Raiku?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Doing wonderful, man. This is really cool that we get to sit down and chat because I'm always DMing you on Twitter and I'm just like, dude, give me the secret European strats.
No,
But
this is awesome. This is a good idea that you came up with.
yeah, you were in my
Yeah,
chat the other day and I was just like, bro, we just need to sit in a call and just talk about what is actually going on with Mage right now. A lot of questions coming in about
yeah,
what's the best covenant, dude, or like when you're streaming too, what's the best
yeah.
covenant, what are the best talents. So we're gonna try to
Why am I not playing Night Fae?
right.
That's typical questions. Yeah.
Should we play Night Phase? Should we go Venthyr, Kyrian? Well, no one's going Necrolord pretty much.
No, I don't think so.
No, but so today we're gonna kind of be talking about all of those topics. If you guys don't know who Raiku is, you can find him at Raiku_WoW on Twitter or at RaikuBest over on Twitch. He does a ton of live streams, so definitely check him out. The links will all be down below. But without further ado, Mage. How are we generally feeling about Mage right now, Raiku, as the highest rated player in the world?
I feel like Mage is fantastic. Like especially Fire Mage is extremely strong. Like Combustion is crazy.
Mhm.
OP or whatever you say. The damage is just nuts and has so good like sync with a lot of melee classes right now that are just super good.
Yeah, okay. So melee classes, like we're talking about Rogue Mage, Feral Mage, maybe even Warrior Mage, a
I
lot
think
of
Warrior Mage could work as well. I never tried it so far, but I've seen
yeah.
other people play it, and I want to play it myself as well.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I guess like just initially starting off, we have Fire Mage, we have Arcane Mage, and we have Frost Mage. Okay, so out of those three specs, there was a lot of speculation on beta that Frost was going to be this incredible spec, and that Arcane is looking really good. And now on ladder, we're seeing a lot of Fire Mages. Can you kind of break that down for us and kind of explain maybe why people are gravitating towards Fire right now instead of the other two specs? And are the other specs still good, or is Fire just the only way to go?
So I do think that Fire is the best right now. It
Okay.
syncs up a lot, like great with the meta gameplay right now because it's a lot about insta burst, quick
Hmm.
damage, not so much casting. I feel like when you play Frost Mage, Arcane Mage, you have to cast a lot, stand still,
Mm.
and when the game is so bursty and so much damage, it's kind of hard to like sit still at the same time, like getting your damage off. But with
Mm.
Fire Mage, like all your damage is insta basically.
Okay. So in the quick metagame, when you can't just like sit there and cast Frostbolt, then you would want to play Fire. But if the metagame slows a little bit, if I'm understanding correctly, then Frost might be a better option. And you
Yeah, I
can
think Frost could be a better option, and like especially when you get more gear. I was played some twos yesterday, and I could
mhm.
as Frost, and I could feel like Frost was actually pretty good again. When I was like 180 or something, I didn't feel like it was good at all,
Yeah.
but I'm almost 200 now,
Okay.
and it feels a lot better.
Okay, so as the metagame slows down, as people get more stamina, mainly in the pace of the arenas go from 30-second matches to maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, Frost might see a resurgence.
Yes, I do believe that, and I
Okay.
also have watching some US streams. I see some like people play God Comp Frost Mage already on over 2.7,
Yeah.
which yeah, it seems to work fine.
Huh. Okay. So out of the three specs in this current metagame, so it's what, December 21st. All right. Out of the three specs, what do you think is the best?
I think Fire is the best.
Okay.
Like Fire is just straight out the best, especially because melees are so insanely good right now, and Fire is just the best class to play with a melee, I think.
Yeah. I agree. So from my perspective, when I'm playing with a sub rogue and he, kidneys the healer and then cheap shots the guy that we're going on the go, right? On the kill target, it seems like Fire's the only spec that can keep up with that. Like I can just throw down a meteor, combust, double fire, blast, pyro, and I'm just crushing them. Whereas with Frost, it just seems like it's a little slower. Maybe a little bit better to play with the Shadow Priest double caster, maybe with Affliction Warlock, where you have a bit more time to ramp up. But yeah, Fire, it just is like the only spec that can really keep up with a melee right now from my perspective. Um,
Yes, I agree 100% to this. I feel like Frostmage could work. As I said, I saw a lot of US teams, or not a lot, but like a few teams play God Comp
mhm.
with Frostmage, a Shadow
Okay.
Priest, Mage. You can slow down the game a lot. You have a nice slow. with a Frost Mage and can set up great CC, make the game a bit slower. It also works kind of good with the Druid, and I don't think Druid is great in general right now, like a rest of Druid. But with Frost Mage, they seem to be working kind of fine together.
Super cool. Yeah. So pick a fire mage, pick a melee, and then for the healer, I think priest is looking pretty solid. What do you think about that?
I actually really like to play Mage Disc Priest, especially it's really good into all the red paladins because you have mind games for the heals and stuff coming out. So like you combustion, the guy mind games is like a guaranteed bubble, or he's dead.
Yeah.
So I think it like syncs up really well. And there's a lot of red pallies right now, I have the feeling.
Dude, mind games has been getting in my head recently. Every time I mind games and Cauterize like is about to heal me, because Cauterize acts as a heal, right? You just die. I'm just like, dude, what's going on? But that talent's cool. Thought Steal though, man, I feel like that needs a huge nerf. But that's a whole nother video.
20 seconds is too long, man.
Way too long.
Way too long.
All right, well, let's get into Fire Mage talents then, because a lot of people listening or watching might be interested in so Fire Mage might be the best right now with a melee. What talents should we be looking at? So, I guess I didn't share my screen with you, but just in that first row, we're looking at Firestarter, Pyromaniac, and then Searing Touch. This is a row that is actually pretty versatile. I think in the past we've seen a lot of mages pick all three at pretty high ratings, so it does show that all three can have some level of viability. What are you playing with right now, and why?
I'm playing with Firestarter right now, like the first option. I think it's just like kind of great to set up the go, especially if you play Tinder with it, because your first fireball is so fast and it has a guaranteed crit, in the start of a go, basically. If the guy's full health, so you chug one fireball, you get the heating up, you fire blast once, and then, if you play with Subrogue, he goes and kidneys the healer. The guy's already kind of low health already. And that makes the go so much scarier, because if the go starts when the target's like 70% health, that becomes such a much better go.
Right. I have been playing the exact same kind of Tinder Firestarter build. It's funny because like I didn't even necessarily see that you were doing that, or maybe other mages were doing that, and I was just like, this seems really good. And then I've been playing with it the last like maybe 5 or 6 days, because I was initially not playing Tinder, and I was playing more like Searing Touch. Or no, I was playing Firestarter, but I was just not playing Tinder, I guess. I was just playing Pyrokinesis, which, by the way, is just a rename from Firestarter.
Yeah.
Which I'm glad they did that, because there was just 2 talents named the same thing.
Yeah, I think that's a good change.
But anyway, so I've been playing Tinder, and that same exact thing, man. The opener is just a quick cast fireball that is 30% more damage, quick cast, guaranteed to crit, and then you get a heating up, so then you can just fire blast and pyro again. The guy's already at 70 or 80% life, maybe sometimes even 60 if you get a really nice crit. And it's just like from like a half a second cast. That's crazy.
No, I actually really like it, and it was funny because it's the same story you said. Like, I was playing it for like 2-3 days, then I tuned into your stream and you're also playing it, and you're saying how much like you like it and how good it feels.
Yeah.
And I had exact same thoughts because I had just queued the same night, and I was like, dude, this feels amazing. Like, it's so nice. And then you're saying the same thing, and I'm like, holy shit, like I'm not like I must be onto something here. And then you as well.
No, for sure, man. I was thinking that exact same thought process, like, are other mages playing this? Because this feels pretty good. Yeah, this feels pretty insane, dude. So I'm glad I'm hearing that from your end. Cool. So we're playing a Firestarter. We're playing Tinder. I guess I'm going to go back to the talents here. For that second row, there's Blazing Soul, Shimmer, and Blast Wave, right?
Yes.
Shimmer did receive a nerf in this expansion. It was only a 20-second cooldown. Now it's up to 25. What are your thoughts about that? Is Shimmer still the best, or are we looking at one of the other 2 options now?
Okay, so I have a bit of a long answer
to
this
for
question. Because in Legion it was 15 per Shimmer charge, now then BFA 20, and now it's 25, so it's kind of long actually. But you can play like a conduit, a finesse conduit called Flow of Time, which decreases your blink cooldown. Let's say you have a really high one, it can decrease your blink cooldown by 3 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
But how this conduit works is not good at all for Shimmer, because it splits the cooldown in half. So, like, if it says 3 seconds, it takes 1.5 seconds off your blink only, because it's 1.5 seconds of each charge of your blink.
Right.
So 3 seconds makes your Shimmer 23.5 seconds only per charge.
Mm-hmm.
which makes the Conduit like not that good because only like a second or 1.5 second for a whole Conduit doesn't feel that good. But if you're playing like Blazing Soul or Blastwave, play normal Blink, it actually works as it would reduce 3 seconds of your cooldown. So your normal Blink goes from 15 to 12 seconds. Which is actually kind of useful because you can blink stuns on a 12-second cooldown. You have a blink so frequently, like you can do 4 blinks in the time span. You can almost do 2 blinks playing Shimmer.
That's really interesting. Yeah. So, just if you guys heard that, so the Conduit reduces the cooldown by 3 seconds, but on a Shimmer, since there's 2 charges, you're only getting half of that benefit from each charge. So it's only taking it from 25 to like 23 and a half. Like that's nothing, dude. Like, yeah, that's crazy.
Nothing.
Yeah, so
I don't know if this is a bug though. Like I've talked to my streamer a lot this, but I'm not so sure if it's intended or not. I feel like it's kind of weird interaction, but it makes some sense.
Yeah, it's very interesting. So if we're looking at Blazing Soul or Blast Wave, then so if we go normal blink, it takes it from 15 to 12, and a 12-second just normal blink for a stun break, or if you just want to blink in and then DB sheep, which is still very possible.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, a 12-second stun break versus a Shimmer at 23.5-second cooldown. That's very interesting. Would you think Blazing Soul or Blast Wave would be the play there? And do you think this is something that we'll see later on in the metagame as we get those top rank Conduits unlocked, or something that we might see in these next upcoming weeks?
I actually thought, especially when sub-rogue, before the sub-rogue nerfs, I thought it would be mandatory to play something like Blazing Soul because you need a survivability when you got stunned. You blink out of a stun on, he can basically never stun you, right? He has to kick you into a stun for you not to be able to blink, which requires a lot of setup for the enemy rogue.
Yep.
But with the rogue nerfs, I'm not so sure exactly how it will pan out because you don't really get 100-0 by rogues that often anymore. So you could play Shimmer because your blinks, off global, you can blink while casting.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I think we'll see when the metagame evolves a bit because 12-second blink is really like short CD, especially because most mobility like charge or something has a 15-second cooldown, which means is you can blink every time it charges, right?
Yeah.
But with Shimmer, you sometimes get stuck a lot, I feel like, when the increased cooldown this expansion.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. So Shimmer we've seen just reign since they kind of introduced the talent over Blink, right? And this might be the first time where we see Shimmer kind of take the backseat to another talent. Not necessarily because the other talents are good, just because Shimmer feels so awful with that longer cooldown. So that's interesting. Cool. So we may or may not see the rise of Blazing Soul later on in the metagame, especially for a Frost Mage where maybe you're not blinking in as much. No. And you kind of just sit back and dampen, and then whenever they actually come and hit you, you could just blink out of a stun. So for Frost, I really think, that 12-second blink could be insane.
Yeah, on the beta, I actually really anticipate, Frost to be really good, and you would play with, normal blink, and you actually Frost Mage, you get ice flows as well if you want. So you can move while casting. So you're not like, you lose Shimmer, you can't blink while casting, but you can still move while casting, right?
Right.
So it kind of makes up for like some sort of like mobility you're like losing by not being able to blink. You can still like move, get the frost balls, get the extra distance from the ice flows while casting. So yeah, I anticipate this on beta, but with the metagame being so fast, I'm not so sure how Frost Mage actually is with playing with melees right now.
Yeah. Okay. So that'll be really interesting to see how that evolves. I could see Frost, with that normal blink really taking off. But I guess as of today, as of right now, the lock-in is still Shimmer, if I'm understanding correctly, because the metagame is so fast, because we don't have that rank 3 Conduit out, or that top rank Conduit out. Shimmer still seems to be kind of the play.
Yeah, I think pretty much every mage plays Shimmer. It's also like a comfortable thing, I think, because Shimmer's been so good for so long.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just really nice to have your blinks off global cooldown. You just blink, you DB sheep someone, Dragon sheep. It's hard to react to it. Normal blink has a global cooldown, so you blink, the healer can react to it, run away. You blink into this priest, he can fear you or something. So there's ways to counterplay normal blink.
Yeah.
If you're blinking forward, yeah.
Okay, cool. So Firestarter, Shimmer, and then that third row. Now this third row is really fascinating because, well, one, we have a new talent. Focus Magic got introduced in the expansion. For everyone watching or listening, it's a buff, right? So you put this buff onto a teammate, and it increases their chance to critically hit by 5%. And whenever they get a critical strike, your intellect and critically hits your intellect, and your chance to hit with spells increase by 5% for 10 seconds. So you get like a little buff every time they actually crit, and they get that crit bonus. So we have that new talent, Focus Magic. We have Incanter's Flow, which did get nerfed in Arena. So normally it's from 4% to 20%, but in Arena it goes from 3% to 15%. So for everyone watching, it is not quite as good. And then we have Rune of Power. And Rune of Power is super fascinating for a couple of reasons. One, it automatically drops when you pop Combustion, Arcane Power, or Icy Veins under your feet. And it is nerfed in Arena, so it's not 40% in Arena, it's only 30% in Arena. So I'm really curious on your thoughts on this level 30 talent row.
Okay, so I'm playing Incanter's Flow for now. I like it the most because I feel like when you're playing with Infernal Cascade, the one that increases your fire damage, the Conduit, by like 11% for every fire blast you're doing up to 2 stacks, which is, you know, like 22% damage increase.
Yep.
Your combustion is already so strong, right? I don't feel like you need the Rune of Power. Like my personal experience, you don't need it, but I've seen a lot of mages use Rune of Power because, you know, you play Infernal Cascade, you have a Rune of Power, you know, dropping on your feet with proper combustion. It's like the fastest combustion of all time, right? The damage is just insane. You can solo anyone in like one combustion, like a few spells. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah,
But I just feel like you don't need to do it.
Okay, and that's a really, really, really good point. The what you just said there at the end, like I don't feel like you need to do it. So in Arena, a lot of the times, I don't know if you feel the same way, but we're really looking for the minimum effective dose to actually land the kill, right? So what I mean by minimum effective dose is like the smallest amount of damage we need to actually still for sure kill them, but then all of the other points go into surviving so that you can get more goes to kill, right? So this is a really good thing to bring up with legendaries, for example, right? There's a legendary Helm that increases fire damage done based on crits, and then there's the Triune Ward, and we'll talk about the difference between the two later, but essentially one is more aggressive and one is more defensive. So which one do you pick? It seems right now that we have enough damage to kill without the offensive option. We don't need more damage. We're already doing enough damage to kill. So then might as well put more points into your defense so that you can survive other people's offensive goes so that you can live to see another day and then get another kill opportunity, right? And then we see this come up again with Rune of Power. It's like Rune of Power increases your damage by 30%. Like a lot of people might think, wow, that's awesome. That's so much damage. Unless you don't need that 30%, now you're just tethered to that spot to get that 30% when you don't necessarily need to be tethered. If you can run around freely with Incanters and still get the kill, is it good to have that 30%, or would you rather take only 3 to 15% more damage but be able to move? So this is where it gets really nuanced, right? Should we stand still and do 30% more damage, or should we be able to move and do 3 to 15? Do we need that 30% damage to kill, or don't we, right?
Yeah.
And I think right now in the metagame, it's looking as if, well, from my experience, that maybe you don't need that extra 30%. Maybe you can just lock in Incanters and get the kills just as quick anyway, and now you don't have to worry about standing still. If someone trinket and blinks around the pillar, you can just blink and follow them and don't have to worry about minus 30% damage. You can kind of just move freely and not have to worry about that. So that...
Yes.
Yeah, that seems like my experience so far, and that's why I think I agree with you. I've been locking Incanter's Flow so far, and I think for me it comes down to, do we need extra damage? Are they not dying? If they're not dying, maybe I'll think about Rune.
Yeah.
Right?
Maybe if the meta, you know, the people get more health, the game becomes a bit slower.
Yeah.
You might need the extra, you know, big damage.
Mm-hmm.
But for now, I don't think you need it at all. Like I never seen an experience where my combustion, you know, didn't force a major cooldown or something already, or it land a kill almost.
Yep.
So for now, I don't feel like it's necessary. But if the game becomes, you know, significantly slower, then I could see, you know, you needing the extra, you know, huge go, the huge like damage to score kills and stuff.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll lock it in Incanter's Flow with a little asterisk saying like for now. Maybe Rune of Power you know, like Raiku said, like you said, like if the metagame slows to a point where you need that extra oomph to get that kill, then and you pop combustion and it didn't force any cooldowns, and it's like, okay, I needed more damage. Let's look at how we can get more damage. But for now, if anyone's played fire, it doesn't feel that way. Whenever you pop combust, the guy's dead anyway. So you might as well take the movement over the a little bit extra damage. And then I guess focus magic. I guess we've kind of dismissed that for now.
Maybe it could work if you play with Holy Paladin, like they kind of rely on crits a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I've never really seen anyone play with it, so I don't think so. But that would be like the one class I could see it being okay with.
Oh, interesting. I was thinking more with like a Shadow Priest or an Ellie Shaman, but that's really, really smart to do it on a healer. Holy Pallies, yeah. Holy Pally God Comp, maybe?
Yeah, maybe something like this. Like, I've never seen it, but if you're going to play it sometime, I could see that being the choice.
Okay, cool. That's really, really good that we touched on that. Okay, so on this next row, we have Flame On, Alexstrasza's Fury, and From the Ashes. I giggle a little bit because I don't think there's much of a choice here.
No, I think you always pick Flame On.
Yeah, always pick Flame On. I mean, some of the other ones we've had discussions about. I mean, Alexstrasza's Fury is just not giving you the benefit. From the Ashes is actually pretty interesting. You would get like 6% mastery if you never use Phoenix Flames, which we don't really use Phoenix Flames too much in Arena because it'll like break CC and stuff, but it just still doesn't seem nearly as worth.
No, Flame On is just great, it was great last expansion too. It's just such a good talent.
Yeah, okay.
You want as many Fire Blasts as possible, and it gives, one more stack and reduce the cooldown by 2 seconds, so it's like all you want in Arena.
Right, that's perfect. It's just so good. Okay, so moving on, Frenetic Speed, Ice Ward, and Ring of Frost. I think a very similar situation arises here with Ring of Frost, right? Because it gives you that second.
I think you almost always play Ring of Frost, but just for double school, you kick the Arcane, can cast Ring of Frost. You can snipe it behind pillars, if the healer lines, you by like a little bit, you rogue stuns him like out of line of sight, you just, you Ring of Frost the guy. Also, Ring of Frost got changed this expansion, where it also gives you the enemy a slow by 65%.
Oh, yeah.
After it expires.
That's actually really interesting. I always forget about that, but that's really, really, really good. Very similar to like that Night Fae kind of slow on the end of Polymorph. It's not like something that's so crazy, but it's something noticeable for melees. It's definitely annoying to deal with. Like after you get out of a CC being slowed, you're just like, oh, come on, bro.
Sometimes I think I could make the case for Frenetic Speed, like especially last expansion, not sure now, but into Wars and stuff, where I felt like it was like you had to survive so hard anyway. The warrior just like train you down, and having like your rogue sit on the warrior and slow him down, and you just moving faster made me play the game much more than just playing Ring of Frost and being kind of like immobile. But for now, I haven't really played Frenetic Speed.
Yeah, it seems like without playing Searing Touch, it almost feels like never that good to press Scorch. Pretty much ever. So Scorch is something, like I guess we leave it at that. Ring of Frost is a nice lock-in. We got 2 ways to polymorph now. Bada bing, bada boom. This next talent row is something that I get so many questions on stream. You probably experienced the same.
Yeah, I get a lot of questions about this as well.
Okay, I'll let you answer then. Why are we picking Living Bomb versus the other two, and why are the other two talents maybe not the greatest choices?
So both Flame Patch and Conflagration, they both break crowd control. They both break CC.
Yeah.
So I just feel like it's just not worth the option. Sure, I don't really press Living Bomb like a whole heck of a lot. Like sometimes you can like chip it in if you have nothing else like to press at all. Or you can use it like keep rogues, from restalfing, druids from restalfing. Like that's mainly where I press it, but I usually get the question off my stream where I don't press it like more regularly. But I feel like it has no use except for really keeping people in combat, because it also breaks CC, right? Like the Living Bomb spreads and can break CC on other targets, but it's the only talent that's not like automatically breaks CC, because you have to actually press the button.
Right. Yep. So by pressing the button, that also implies that you can just not press the button.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
That's how I kind of explain it on stream. Just like, you just you pick it to then not press it, because the other two will break CC, which is like the worst talent pick. Like, I understand there's.
I think they should rework this row.
Yeah,
like this row is kind of useless.
I guess this just as like a little interjection. This leads us into Phoenix Flames quite nicely. Phoenix Flames is a new ability that we actually saw. It's a reintroduction to an ability that we saw in Warlords. It's reintroduced here in Shadowlands. What do you think about Phoenix Flames as 45-second cooldown, Fire Mage, AoE kind of ignite spreader ability?
I mean, I do press Phoenix Flames almost on CD, but I would never use it if I have like Sheep the healer and the guy is close, because as long as the guy is close, the melee guy I'm killing or whoever I'm attacking is close to the healer, it will just break the CC on the healer. So it's very risky to use the spell.
Yep.
So I don't press it like if I have a feeling or even a percent chance that it could break it on the healer.
Right.
But it's really good on a combustion goes, for example,
Yep.
because in Legion it did crit 100%, but now it doesn't anymore. So you can't, use it for getting heating ups, hot streaks. So usually what I do, I use all my 5 best charges first, and then I start using my Phoenix Flames charges on the go.
Yep. Cool. So the use case for the Phoenix Flames then would be during combustion when they're away from a CC target, so no polymorph, no blind nearby, and you have no more Fire Blast charges, then you could think about using a Phoenix Flames.
Yeah, that's exactly my logic, basically, about it. But I kind of like it. Some more instant spells is nice to use. In Legion, you didn't have it, and yeah, I did kind of like the spell.
Cool. So it's nice to have it back. It's cool to have that little extra instant burst on the combustion, but you can only press it. It would be really cool if there was a talent that made it single target, like a focus flame or something.
I actually think that the spell is bugged though. I don't know if this is a good thing to bring up, but if you let's say you Phoenix Flames the guy you're hitting, and the healer is nowhere in close of the splash range.
Yeah.
As long as the healer, or let's say the DPS then leaps in, there's a worry he leaps into his healer, like even seconds later, the ignite will actually go towards the healer, even if the healer is crowd controlled.
Oh wow! So it'll actually put maybe a hidden debuff saying like spread ignites for 5 seconds or something.
Yeah, exactly. And it will even prioritize like CC targets, which I feel like Ignite has never done before,
Right.
but it does now. So a lot of games, I'm like, wow, I can't believe this. Like this broke. Like,
wow,
that's so dumb.
That might explain one of the reasons why my polymorph broke the other day. I had no idea what was going on.
Yes. As long as the guy just gets, I think it's kind of long range. It's between like 5 and 8 yards, which is kind of like significant, like range. So as long as the guy just like leaps in, or he just runs to his healer, the healer's close or whatever, it will just break the CC on the healer, and yeah, that has caused me some losses. And I'm not too sure if this is intended, because Ignite has never spread to CC targets before.
Yeah, that makes me feel almost like never pressing the button, or like almost. Yeah, that's crazy. Okay, well, I guess just to cap off the end of this Fire Mage row, so people know what to lock in here. We have Meteor, Pyroclasm, and Kindling. Meteor is the lock-in in the past. It's also the lock-in that we've seen most recently. It just to me seems like it synergizes so well with that combustion burst. What do you think about Meteor versus the other two options here?
I always play Meteor in PvP and stuff, because the Meteor actually hits really hard this expansion, and synchronizes so well with your combustion, as you said. But in PvE, people are actually playing Kindling, and like always now, and I could see the argument to play Rune of Power. You have a kind of short combustion, because I think they changed Kindling a little bit. So like you can like Rune, if you pop combustion, it puts an automatic Rune of Power on your feet this expansion, as you said before, and you have a combustion way more frequently, right? Playing Kindling.
Right.
Every spell you're pressing, you're basically reducing cooldown of it by 1.5 seconds.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, wow. So you could get Rune of Power combust probably like every 45 seconds or something, especially if you paired it with Pyrokinesis.
Yes, exactly. So I could see people doing this in PvE. That's what people do. And last expansion, actually, all the PvEers went Meteor, but now they don't even do that in PvE. So maybe, like, I haven't really seen people in Arena do it, but I could see it work.
Okay.
But yeah, I think Meteor is the standard choice that people play in Arena.
Great. So I think we have that full locked-in talent tree. I agree with every single option here. It looks really good. For PvP talents, what's your like auto lock-in? We talked a lot about Tinder already and how it's so nice with Firestarter. But for those other two slots, what are we looking at between Greater Pyroblast nerfed, right? We have Flame Cannon, Klepto, Pyrokinesis.
I mean, I pretty much always default, at least now when I have like Triune Ward and stuff, when you're a bit tankier, I like to go for many offensive options before Triune Ward, before the sub-rogue nerfs. I felt most of my job was to survive while my rogue did most of the things.
Yeah.
But now with the rogue being nerfed, you have trained wards, you tanker by default. I've been going for a lot more offensive options, so I kind of always look Tinder, Kleptomania, and Pyrokinesis.
Okay, cool.
Those are what I always play basically.
And then for Kleptomania, are you playing this against all matchups, really? Or are
I
you
pretty
pick...
much play it against all matchups. The only exception is Holy Pal teams if they don't have a mage.
Wow. Okay, so against like Mistweaver Warrior Enhance, you would play Klepto?
Yeah, I would. I play Klepto always. Like I always get the question in my chat too. Why do you always play Klepto? It's because I feel like if you can just Klepto like every single go, like even against a Mistweaver, you have some hots going and stuff. Enhancement Shaman has Bloodlust back. It's a big damage, and you can use defensively to remove the Bloodlust. You get it. You don't have to waste glow balls or something. You press one spell, you get the Bloodlust guaranteed.
Mm-hmm.
Against a Mistweaver, whatever, you make a good go. You see the Mistweaver, he has some hots rolling, and you just Klepto it, and your go is way stronger, right? Because there's nothing healing him at all in those stuns. It's
Wow.
one button press, and it's just like, guaranteed more damage, I feel like. I feel like it's the most offensive option in the game.
Wow. So that's something really eye-opening for me. It's not an ability that I enjoyed playing very much when the ability first was kind of released, and then I started realizing like, wow, this is actually really good against Restoration Druids, and with Triune Ward mages I was like, wow, this is really good against Triune Ward, but it's
Yeah.
never something, to be honest, that I've considered playing against just a standard composition without hots. So like a Mistweaver Enhanced Warrior, it's something I've never considered. Now that you say that, it sounds really awesome. It's something I really want to give more, like I want to try it out. It sounds really, really cool. Just a guaranteed Klepto on the goes, get all the hots in one go, and you can just guarantee it and keep doing damage. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, especially against Resto Shamans too. Like, everyone plays the Earth Shield legendary because it's the strongest option. So it means as long as it's Earth Shield, the guy's like relatively tanky. But if you just Kleptomania, the Earth Shield on every single go, the go becomes so much better. Like his legendary basically becomes useless.
Hmm.
So I really like it. And also there's a lot of mages, as we mentioned before, plays Rune of Power or Combustion. You just Kleptomania that Combustion instantly. And I think Rune of Power becomes a kind of dead talent. His Combustion is gone. He's playing for such an all-in, go, and you're just Kleptomaning it.
Yep.
I play with Cancel Aura, so I Kleptomanate, I Cancel Aura the Combustion on myself. He can't Kleptomanate back if he's playing it as well. And he just loses so much value from all his talents because he's going
Yeah.
for an all-in path, and I'm just stealing it and removing it from myself.
I guess just so I completely agree. That's really cool. I'm definitely gonna try more Kleptomania play now that you say that. That sounds really, really interesting. Something to touch back on with Rune of Power versus Incanners is what you just said. With Rune of Power, if you get shut down on your combustion go and you actually
Yeah.
can't manage to land the kill, maybe someone Kleptomanias you, maybe you get feared from a warrior and then you trinket right into a Stormbolt or something like that, and you actually can't get value out of your combustion for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Rune of Power was essentially useless, and now for your next go, you won't have that 30%. You'll have 0% increase, right? Whereas with Incanners,
Yes.
you'll actually say you get shut down on your combust, unfortunate, but it does happen. And then the next go, you'll still have that Incanners anywhere from
Yeah.
3 to 15%. So Incanners almost splits the your eggs into more baskets, so to speak, right? It's not
Yes,
just
exactly.
all in on that combust. You have a pretty big combustion that's more than enough to kill someone, but on the next go, you'll still have a meteor, some fire blasts, some pyros, and then the next go, you'll have combustion again, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why I like Incanter so much because it's the safest option. You can,
Yep. Okay.
get screwed less by CC and stuff. And, there's so many. Like, I face a lot of mages, I feel like. There's a lot of mage comps right now. You can play Mage Melee, I face Mage Elemental Shamans, and, Mage Shadow Priest. And just being able to, collect his combustion, cancel it, and he's playing Rune of Power. He's wasting so many talents on, like, one, egg in one basket.
Yeah, cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, I feel the exact same way. That's why I've still been going with Incanners, even though Rune feels strong,
Yeah.
stronger than it ever has before. I still don't. Yeah, that's exactly where my head is at. So cool. I'm definitely gonna try that Kleptomania thing. I'm actually excited to play more Klepto. If
Even into other mages that have alter time. If you want to make a good goal, the guy alters, you can, instead of, you having to use like 2-3 spells,
Mhm.
the guy blinks behind a corner, you can't get it off anymore, then it's like, wow, this goal is not good at all, but you just click one press, you get the alter off, and the guy's in trouble.
Yeah, what I like about Klepto, now that you've mentioned that, is like sureness behind I can get his altar, right? It's not like you're trying to get it. You can get it, right?
Yes.
And that's really important in PvP, not to see like like what's another example? Like an Arcane Mage temp shields and you're like, "Oh, I'm trying to get it. I'm trying to get it." It's like, "No, like I got it." Like you just know you can get every ability, and that level of being definite,
Yeah.
is important, because then for your partners, your rogue knows, okay, he's going to Klepto, meaning I can he bomb and we win the game, not oh, he might get it. Just being sure about that is important. So cool, y'all definitely. I'm excited to play more Klepto. Cool. I'm learning from this too.
I've been watching you stream a bit, and I know you play most of the same talents as me, but there's a one talent I see that you don't play.
Yeah.
Which I actually really like to play, because even in my stream I always get the question too. I just don't like to sit there and waste my globals trying to spell steal something, because I'm doing less things that I'm helping my team less, I'm sheeping less, I'm even frostbolting less if they need peels. You have a slow as well. You can by trying to get us off his combustion, you're wasting so much time instead of getting the one click, then sheeping the guys off.
That's a good
Dragon's
point.
breathing them, knowing them. You need the insta peels, right? Because the game is so bursty.
Yeah, it's a really good point. So Kleptomania there's an opportunity cost to using multiple spellsteal globals. Just sitting there doing nothing, trying to get that spellsteal. The opportunity cost is maybe casting Fireball to get your combustion back. Maybe it's casting Polymorph so that your teammates don't die. Maybe it's casting Ring of Frost or a Frost Nova, or kind of setting up that next go. And with spamming spellsteals, maybe you don't get that. So yeah, I'm totally sold on that, man. And I guess that brings up a really something that I wanted to talk about at the start that I forgot. One of the reasons that I wanted to have Raiku on was selfishly because I want to learn too. He has highest rated player in the world, BlizzCon Champion. He has so much knowledge up in here that I really want to kind of figure out myself as well. So selfishly, cool. Now I can take something away from this also. I'm super excited. Awesome. So moving on, we got talents and PvP talents. I guess maybe before we move on, is there anything that you would swap to between Prismatic Cloak, Netherwind Armor, Dampened Magic, maybe against Shadow Priest? A lot of people ask about Greater Pyro, Controlled Burn. Is there any use cases for these things, or no?
Controlled Burn, I actually think about playing sometimes because of the whole Phoenix Flame debacle we talked about before. When you press Phoenix Flames, the guy runs into target, spreads the ignite. If you play Controlled Burn, it won't happen. Like Phoenix Flame will still splash the damage if the guy is close, but it won't make this invisible ignite spread.
Okay.
So I could see a case, and into Shadow Priest, I actually do drop Tinder for now, and I do play with Dampen Magic most of the time. But this is a long reason if you want me to get in on it.
Absolutely.
Okay. So, do you know how the Ring of Frost bug works?
If you just spam click it, it's
you have to cast another spell. So let's say your Fire Mage press a Flame Strike right now, and you spam your Ring of Frost, right? Like you already press it while your Flame Strike is being casted. Your Ring of Frost will be invisible until the very 0.3 seconds, so no one can really react to it. Same with casting a Fireball or Sheep, people won't react to it. However, since the cast has to be longer than your global cooldown for it to actually work, Tinder makes your Fireball so fast sometimes that the global is not gone, so you can't bug or whatever, Ring of Frost or something. Same with the Door of Shadows. So I love to play Inventor for the stories, and Door of Shadows you can cast a Fireball, and then you just spam Door of Shadows at the same time, and the guy can't see where the Door of Shadows is appearing, the guy you're doing it toward, let's say the healer, because he cannot see the animation on the floor until Door of Shadows is basically landed.
So this is only going to occur if you use an ability and immediately spam another ability, right? Like, it wouldn't occur if you're just casting Ring of Frost normally, but if you did a Fireball and then immediately it went into a Ring of Frost, they actually can't see it.
Yes, exactly, and the same works with the Door of Shadows. And with Tinder, the interaction doesn't work because Tinder cast time is too fast. For you to be able to hover your mouse on, the Ring of Frost or the Door of Shadows, because you're still on global cooldown from pressing the Fireball in the first place.
So with Tinder though, if you wanted to do like a Sheep or a I don't know, just another Fireball, it would still work, but it would just give you one less way to do it, maybe, right?
Yeah, exactly. So sometimes I do think that's kind of annoying with Tinder because
Okay.
I like to use this bug because it's very good to use. Invisible Ring of Frost, Invisible Door of Shadows. It's so nice to land the cheeky CC this way. And yeah, into Shadow Priests, I think Dampen Medic is super good. Warlocks. Like yesterday, I was facing a really good Shadow Priest Warlock team, and then I was playing Kleptomania because it was a Druid healer for the HOTS and the Dark Soul and Power Infusion and stuff. And Pyrokinesis because combustion is so good right now,
Yeah.
and Dampen Magic just to take less damage.
Okay, cool. So that's really, really interesting to hear. To be honest, I know about the Ring of Frost bug because of people complaining about it. Like
Yeah,
I know like
yeah.
Sea-Doo is on Twitter saying like, dude, I can't see the ring. This is ridiculous, And to be honest, I didn't know why it occurred though. So this is actually eye-opening for me. I've never actually like tried to make that happen. So it'll be really interesting to see like, okay, I know they can't see my ring right here.
Yeah.
So you can just get like some
If you
cheeky.
can't see your own ring, they can't see it either.
Oh,
That's
so
how it
that's a
works.
really easy way to. Okay, cool.
Yes. So before you're doing it that if it's a bugged ring or not a bugged ring, basically.
Oh, sick. Man, see, I'm
Yeah.
learning so much from this. This is fantastic.
And it's
Cool.
very easy replicatable. But like if you just press a fireball, a sheep or something, just mash Ring of Frost or Door of Shadows if you're bent here. You practice it on a target time a few times. It will be easy. It's not a hard thing to do, but as you said, I didn't know either how it worked until the BlizzCon I won at 2019 BlizzCon. While we were practicing backstage doing the war games, I started like figuring out kind of how it worked because I did it once and I was like, this is interesting. So I just started realizing how it worked and I was like, wow, this is really broken.
Wow. Okay,
So now I
cool.
actively look for those plays all the time.
That's super super critical. I'm really really glad you brought that up. So, Ring of Frost, Invisible Ring of Frost, I should say. That's the play. All
Yeah.
right. So that's talents. That's PvP talents. I guess so. We're never playing G-Pie in threes because that cooldown's not the greatest. Flame
No.
Cannon, maybe not enough room for it currently in the metagame.
The game is too fast to stand still for Flame Cannon. I think I like last expansion. I really love Flame Cannon because it increases your range, increase your damage. But I don't think you have the time to stand still that much anymore. The game is so fast paced. You make a go, the enemy team makes a go.
Yep.
So you go in, then you go back, and then you go in, and then you go back, basically. So you're never really standing there just soaking damage anymore.
Cool. So I think we got our lock in here for mage talents. I think that leads us nicely into covenants, and that's probably why a lot of people are watching this video. So we finally got here, 40 minutes in. Covenants, guys. We have Kyrian, we have Venthyr, we have Night Fae, and we have Necrolord. All right, I really, really, really want to break this down with Raiku here. Let's let's talk about Venthyr first. So I know you are Venthyr. I really want to hear your reasoning behind Venthyr between Nagia, Theotar, the Mad Duke, and General Draven. Which companion do you like? Which covenant are you playing with right now as the highest rated player in the world?
Okay, so at the moment I'm playing with Venthyr. I'm using Nagia as my follower, my Soulbind, because I really like the one called Agent of Chaos. So it says 6 seconds disorient. Like if you use Dwarf Shadow, someone spawns a circle around them, and if they're in the circle, they get disoriented, like blinded, basically.
Yep.
In Arena, it only lasts for 2 seconds from 6 seconds in PvE. They nerfed it, but 2 seconds is enough for you to like Dwarf Shadow someone into a polymorph, right? Because polymorph is like about 1.4 second cast time with decent haste.
Right.
So I really like to do this. It's a nice way, it shares DRs, with Dragon's Breath. So as Fire Mage is a bit contradictive to each other, but I think just using the Dwarf Shadows bug as I explained before,
Yep.
is so nice, and it's also so far to go right. Like Dwarf Shadows is longer than a blink, and it's on Shadow School. You get kicked by someone on a sheep, you can Dwarf Shadows, the kick fades, and then you sheep someone.
Right.
So I really like it for this reason, and also longer down in the tire. Once you reach, 20, renown 30, you get familiar predicaments. The duration of incoming interrupts, snares, and root effects reduced by 25%. So on beta, we had like max renown, and I was playing this a lot. And especially when there's so many like, shaman cleaves back, then so many melee cleaves, you're getting kicked a lot. And just having like lower, kick duration on you is so nice because fake casting for me is not something I do all too much because I think it's a little bit waste of time, especially if you have a Shadow School playing Venthyr, Arcane School, and a Fire School. But if all of those interrupts are even shorter, you can play so much more. And even reducing slows and stuff by 25% is so nice, because I feel like if you're not slowed by, for example, warrior, you can't die. You can just run away.
Right, right. Wow. So Venthyr seems like a really, really nice lock-in for multiple reasons. I mean, we have Door of Shadows synergized with Agent of Chaos to really get a Door of Shadows disorient into a polymorph. We have Familiar Predicaments that's allowing us to basically play the game more, meaning you're not so scared of being interrupted. You just cast the poly, eat the interrupt, and then cast the Door of Shadows, and by that time your polymorph's almost back up, and you can just Door of Shadows polymorph anyway. Which is really
also,
cool.
Mirrors of Torment is really nice too, because for every mirror consumes, it's 3 stacks, right? It's an ICD of 6 seconds, so they can only trigger once every 6 seconds. The first 2 charges, reduces cast time and stuff by 15%. For the second one, it's 30%, and for the fourth one, it's a root and a silence for 4 seconds, which also does great damage. So you can root someone in silence, then they can't heal, they can't move. It's very nice. But what people don't really take in consideration is whenever a mirror is consumed, it reduces your Fire Blast cooldown by 4 seconds. So before your combustion, I really like to use a Mirrors of Torment just to get like an extra Fire Blast charge, like guaranteed basically.
Ooh, yeah.
So it makes your combustion even stronger, and it does damage every time it consumes, a mirror, like one of the stacks, which is just extra damage on the go.
Yeah, that's really, really powerful. That's actually something that I didn't pay much attention to, was the idea that it's giving you Fire Blast back. Like, if say you're at 0 stacks Fire Blast, throw out a mirrors, kind of like, maybe even before you land the polymorph on the healer, right? So like a while before they go, you throw out the mirrors, you kind of forget about it for now. You land the polymorph on the healer, and now you're just getting passive Fire Blast charges back. And then you do your combustion go, and now it's a little bit stronger. That's pretty cool. That's really awesome, yeah.
And also for Frost Mage, I think it's great. You get a Brain Freeze every time it consumes a charge, which is just awesome. You get 3 Brain Freezes for full mirrors, which is awesome. It's so good.
Yeah, that seems insane for Frost, because Brain Freeze is kind of Frost's strongest asset, really, right?
So you want to get as many as possible, and that's why I really like Venthyr for Frost as well.
Sweet. Okay, so with Mirrors of Torment, we're getting Fire Blast, we're getting Brain Freeze, we have Agent of Chaos, we have Familiar Predicaments, and that is why you're locked in Venthyr.
Yeah.
That makes sense then. Cool. I guess I do want to bring up, because I know a lot of people are going to be asking, we see a lot of top mages that are Venthyr. We also see a lot of top mages that are Kyrian, and we see maybe a lot of top mages that are Night Fae. What are your thoughts on, and we don't see anyone Necrolord, so
yeah.
That's easy. But what are your thoughts on Kyrian? Obviously it does have strengths as well. What do you think of those strengths? And then what are your thoughts on Night Fae? Maybe we start with Kyrian. Why are you not Kyrian, even though it does have some pretty nice strengths?
I'm not playing Kyrian because I don't think it's bad. Actually, of all the class abilities that you're getting, Mirrors of Torment or Radiant Spark for Kyrian, I think Radiant Spark is the best of all the 4 covenants on press. It's a really short cooldown, I think it's 30 seconds.
Yep.
And it increases your damage by 10% for every stack, up to 40%. So the last one is doing like a lot of damage. So if you combine, you press 3 spells and then you press a Meteor as a 4th one, the Meteor is going to do 40% more damage, which is, crazy good damage. So I think it's like the best class ability. But the reason I'm not playing Kyrian is because I don't think the followers, the Soulbinds are that good for Kyrian compared to the other ones. I don't think they're necessarily bad, but I just feel like the Night Fae one and Venthyr one is just giving you more.
I see.
And I think the potion's kind of nice though, because it's a defensive one. It removes bleeds and poisons on you. So into Feral Druids or something, it could be very nice to play against. If Azarog is the meta, it could be very nice. So I don't think it's bad. Like I definitely do think Kyrian, is one of the better ones. Like I could see people playing Kyrian, Night Fae, or Venthyr. Bit preference, bit situational, but I just think the followers for Kyrian are not as good as it is for the other Soulbinds.
Okay, cool. And then, so I mean, just to make the case for Kyrian, we have that Radiant Spark, which gives you a 10% increased damage on direct damage spells that stacks, right? So if you Radiant Spark and then Fire Blast them, that's a 10% increased damage Fire Blast. You Fire Blast again, that's 20%. And then for that Meteor, which is usually the 3rd spell that comes down, that's a 30% increased Meteor that normally can crit already for 10,000, right? So say you go Rune of Power, that could crit for 12,000, and then with Radiant Spark, that could maybe get up to 15,000 or 16,000 meteors.
Yeah.
Just to create the argument for Kyrian, that's some big burst. I mean, what do you think about that burst? Is it what we talked about earlier, just too high for no reason because you don't need the damage anyway? Is it something that we really should be paying more attention to as the metagame is really fast and getting a 16,000 meteor is just really strong in general? Is this just not necessary, or?
Actually, the second highest mage on the ladder in Europe is called Gelubaba, and he actually plays Kyrian, and he plays Rune of Power, and Fevered Incantation, the legendary. So he plays like an all-in build. His combustion is meant to one-shot you. He plays around this really well, though. It's really good at it, and the damage is absolutely nuts. He solos any healer. Whatever he plays with Paladin goes and hodges the healer. Like a holy Paladin, he just solos the healer.
Wow.
He gets the Radiant Spark up, props combustion, plays Infernal Cascade, he gets Rune of Power under his feet, and he just alls in. Like,
wow,
just full all in. It's super scary to face anything like this. I also saw a really high mage on US called Nuked XO, I think his name was, and he was playing Kyrian as well, I saw, with Rune of Power.
Yeah, I know Mitch Jones is playing it as well, one-shotting some people as well, so that's pretty pretty insane. I myself haven't played Kyrian, so I started as Venthyr because we talked a lot about Venthyr in the beta, and Venthyr just seems so good. And I was playing Venthyr, and to be honest, I thought it was pretty good. The reason I swapped off is for solo play and for world PvP and for 2v2, which is a lot of like what I like to do on stream. I like to do twos with my viewers. Setting up Mirrors of Torment and Doors of Shadows seemed a little bit more of a build that was meant for a 3v3 situation where your teammates knew what you were doing, right? So like, okay, I'm going to bug Door of Shadows so they can't see it, and then I'm going to Polymorph Sheep the healer. But when I'm playing with a viewer that, in twos at 1800 rating, that might be no value at all, whereas the Night Fae blink to kite around the pillar and survive to pull off a 1v2 might be a bit more beneficial in that 2v2 sense. So that's the main reason I swapped. I know a lot of people are like, bro, you told us Venthyr was the best and now you're Night Fae, and I see people going, Kyrian, what's going on, Czar? I still think Venthyr 4/3s could end up being, as Raiku just explained, probably the best with Familiar Predicaments, Agent of Chaos, and just the viability of the two abilities that we do gain, Door of Shadows and Mirrors of Torment. With Night Fae, do you want to cover Night Fae? Have you played around with it, or maybe I'll explain my reasoning behind it?
You can probably cover it more, but I will give one argument where I think Night Fae today is the 21st of December, yeah? Tomorrow is a reset for an A, right?
I know what you're gonna say. Yep.
Yeah. So Night Fae, as far as I know, you pick the middle follower, right? The one that gives you I call it the egg, the seed when you die, right? And then you get the one that reduces people's movement speed by 90% for 2 seconds, decays over time.
Yep.
When you like sheep someone, which is obviously super duper good. But when you reach renown 13, you have 2 potency slots.
Yes.
Which is completely insane because Fire Mage has 2 great potency slots for Fire Mage. Infernal Cascade and Control Destruction are both crazy good, right? Like those are. I sometimes jump between them if I feel like I'm facing a team that has like a lot of purchase, maybe it's a Shadow Shaman, Warrior or something. I actually sometimes do play Control Destruction because the consistent damage over the combustion all in, because you're just going to get intervened or fade. You're just going to get like a cooldown, but I feel like you get that cooldown anyway by pressing combustion.
Yep.
So then I like control destruction, but then you can get both of them already like tomorrow and by an A and 2 days from in EU. I think it's going to be so good for like a long time, because if you play Venthyr and you play Naja, you can't actually get that until you're renown 25 to get 2 potency slots, which is a long time from now. So I think if you want all in power, I do think that Night Fae is the best for the next few weeks.
Right. So I actually saw this happening. I realized this about 5 days ago, that Night Fae is going to have the quickest access to potency conduits. And just like you said, we get access to not only Infernal Cascade, but Control Destruction. So the build that we can make early on is just insane with double potency conduits. So I guess I was going to cover that later, but for potency conduits, the best two are definitely Infernal Cascade and Control Destruction. But Pyroblast, for people listening or watching, is like our number one damage as a fire mage most games, right? And to have a 5% increase on your number one damage dealer is nuts. That's just huge for consistent pressure and for burst. So we get 5% more there, and we're getting the huge bonus. So I'm excited as a Night Fae player that I'm gonna have this reign of terror until other players playing maybe Kyrian or Venthyr don't get for at least a few more weeks. So we're gonna have a really, really cool moment in time. So I just want to, like, my case for Night Fae, like I said, is that it's really cool for solo play. It's really cool for 2v2. Just trying to pull off some cool plays. So we get the Soul Shape, right, which gives us that sprint, but then you also get like what I like to call it is like my Ghost Wolf for a mage. And the way an elemental shaman uses Ghost Wolf, like you're trying to catch them and they're just lining on the pillar and you actually just can't get there. Even if a rogue pops like sprint, it's still not guaranteed that they're going to catch you. So you can line on the pillar and evade a go the entire time your healer's in CC just by kind of strafing back and forth on a pillar as if you were an Ellie shaman. And having that access is really, really, really cool. The second thing that I really love is Soothing Voice. So if I'm polymorphing an enemy and they get dispelled, they have a 90% slow. And then if I just resheep them, then they're sheeped again and they get dispelled again. They're still 90% slowed for 2 seconds. So it's very, very annoying. It also works on my Frost Nova. So if I Frost Nova Soothing Voice, then slows them 90%, assuming they can break it. It's also bugged right now to where it doesn't work through Freedom or Hunter Freedom, Pally Freedom, any Freedom. So if a warrior has Freedom up and you sheep him, he's going to be 90% slowed for 2 seconds. And then you can spell steal the Freedom or resheep him and he's slowed again. So you can just play around Freedom really well with Soothing Voice. I don't know if it's intended or not, if it's supposed to work through Freedom. So that might be fixed in the future if it's not intended. But seems like a really solid pick. And then with Pod Tender, a lot of people are going crazy about Pod Tender. In my perspective, it's actually not that good in high-rated games because, I play it, right? I've played maybe, let's say, 400 games of threes. I think it saved me once or twice out of 400 games.
Yeah.
So it's almost never going to do anything, basically. But when the games it does help you win the game, it's nuts.
It's like a second life, right? It's like almost like a cauterize.
Yeah.
I find it super annoying. I also find it super annoying to click on this thingy.
Yeah.
You can target the play. If I use target 1 to 3 and focus 1 to 3, and if I'm pressing target, like Arena 2 on the guy that I'm killing, it will target the guy and not the actual pod or the egg.
Oh,
it
no.
Won't target it. And I'm just getting so triggered by this, and I'm trying to click it everywhere, and there's something you can't click it. The guy comes back to life, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so annoying.
Oh my goodness, yeah, that is super annoying. Also, the nameplate's like in the air, so it's like super not fun.
Yeah, exactly.
So we have Pod Tender. Actually, something I didn't know about it is you can actually heal it and sacrifice it and use cooldowns on the pod. At first I thought you couldn't.
Oh yeah, you can.
But you can, yeah. And I feel like I've been telling my healers more like, save me, bro. Like my rogue will pull off plays like stun the whole team and duel someone, and it kind of wastes your whole DR, right? But then I come back to life, and then you can maybe get a win from there. Like I said, it almost never happens, but the fact that it could happen and you can play around it is kind of cool.
Yeah. I had a funny game the other day. I was like, last game to play with my viewers, FMP to 2-1. We were all like getting 2-1 on my ult mage. And we killed the mage pre-block because my Frau convoke spirits, kind of globalized the mage, died in almost instantly. He became a pod. And the rogue just CC'd all of us facing RMP. We couldn't kill it. The guy came back to life. We dropped him low again. He ice blocked because he didn't press it before. And the game went on another 4 minutes, and we almost lost. And I was thinking, like, oh my god, if I lost this game, I'll be so annoyed.
Dude, I've lost a pod, and it doesn't feel good. It's like you won the game, and they come back to life, and then you end up losing, and it's like, oh no. So I guess my reason behind Night Fae is we get pod, which is kind of annoying. We get the double potency conduits early, which is nice. We get Soothing Voice, which is nice. We get the Ghost Wolf, which is nice. And then with shifting power, what's really cool about shifting power is it's actually a nature tree ability. So if you get locked,
I wasn't so sure about this. I was wondering if it's arcane or nature. It's good that you say it.
yeah. So it used to be arcane in the beta, and they changed it to nature, as far as I know. And since the nature change, it's really cool, right? So I can actually shifting power, and if I get kicked, I'm stoked. Like it's a 1 minute cooldown free kick. Like everyone instantly kicks it because it's like a scary. It's like, and you just boom kick it. It's like it's great, right? So it basically eats a kick. The second thing I like about shifting power, which might be news to you if you haven't played a lot with it, is if you get locked out on polymorph and you press shifting power, it'll reduce your lockout.
What?
Yeah, so you can like shifting power out of a counter spell, right? So
oh, I did not know about this. That sounds really nice.
I don't know if we're giving away too many strats here, but that's something that no one really knew, and I don't know if it's a bug or if it's intended. But you know how when you're locked out on, say, Arcane Tree, it looks like it's basically just on cooldown.
Yeah.
If you get locked on polymorph or locked on fire and you shifting power, it'll channel you out of your lockout.
That's actually super good to use. But how do you think the spell is overall, though? Because I have not played Night Fae now, but I'm actually considering to go Night Fae like today because I want, want to reset to get 2 potency slots because I think it's so good for now.
It'll be good for now, yeah. Then you'll swap back. But so okay. So there's that's really cool about shifting power, and then the other thing, with shifting power that's nice is that it works with combustion. And now this might sound a little silly, but hear me out. Every single shifting power ability is a crit with combustion up. And if I'm on a solo healer, go in a kidney bomb, I can meteor and hit all my fire blasts. What I can then do is start channeling shifting power. It pulses every second, which is a guaranteed crit, which is actually a lot of damage. And a lot of people don't play it like this, but I've been doing goes like in Rogue Mage 2s like this a lot. So I'm shifting power on top of the healer, blink in with combust, but it's also giving me back fire blasts. Now I can Fire Blast while I'm shifting power because it's a channel and you can cast Fire Blast while casting. So I'm combustion with shifting power while nuking more Fire Blast into the target. So the amount of damage...
Does shifted power do any damage?
Yeah, with combustion.
How much does it take for?
I would have to actually look, but it's pretty significant with combust up when every tick is a crit. Yeah. The damage...
Wow, I actually didn't... I thought it hit for like 200 or something.
No, it's pretty significant. And what's really cool about it is it's giving you Fire Blast charges back like every tick. So every tick, you get the shifting power, you get the crit from it, but then you get another Fire Blast, which you can use while it's casting more. So then by the end of it, you get like 2 or 3 more Fire Blasts, and then you can just keep nuking.
That sounds super good, actually. Like, I was always wondering if that talent was, or like not a talent, but a class Covenant spell was a bit useless compared to the others. But when you're saying it, it sounds kind of nice, actually.
Yeah, so I use it a lot to bait a kick, and then I use it a lot to get out of a lockout if I need to do a go. I'll use it a lot for the obvious reason, like if I'm out of Fire Blast charges, I can just get 3 more from a quick channel. I mean, that's the obvious reason, but then it's really cool while using it while combusted. It's a big range, so you can only use it if it's like a kidney bomb on a healer and no one's near you, which, to be fair, is not very often. But when you can get it with a combustion go, when you're out of Fire Blast, you're like using it to do damage and getting more Fire Blasts, which is super sick. So those are all the reasons I'm Night Fae, and I've been loving it, dude. It is fun.
I mean, you're making the case now for me to go Night Fae, because the last few days I've been thinking about it ever since I realized that you're getting 2 potency slots so early.
Yeah.
It was not a long time ago since I realized this, but then I was like, wow, for the next few weeks, I'll be broken if I play this.
Yeah, I'm excited for tomorrow. I've been looking forward to it for like 5 days now. I'm like, oh crap, I get double potency before anyone else. So Night Fae will actually do like the most damage until a few more weeks from now.
The problem on beta is I actually was Curian on my... No, I was Ventra on my mage, then I went Curian because I liked Curian so much now with the looks of it. I want to try Radiant Spark out and stuff. And then on beta, I wanted to go back Ventir. And I realized, like, wow, swapping Covenant is not hard, but swapping back was definitely kind of rough, to be honest. Man. And I know many people have talked about this before on beta, that it would become a problem to swap back. I don't think it takes a lot of times, but it definitely takes, some hours, some days, or whatever to get back.
Man, that's not fun to hear because I left Venthir, man. So if I want to go back,
grinding apparently.
Yeah. So what I do think is kind of cool is that we've seen all 3, Night Fae, Kyrian, and Venthir, work at pretty high ratings, right? So there isn't one, like, for anyone listening, I don't want it to be like, oh, dude, I didn't pick Venthyr, I'm screwed. Like, no, dude, Kyrian and Night Fae still have a lot of pros. They might not be as good at Venthyr at super high rating, but you can still definitely, I mean, with the Kyrian Hellstone, the Kyrian Radiant Spark one shot, or the Night Fae, all the things that we talked about, like there are definite reasons to play the other two. So it's kind of a cool situation where we can play a lot of different ways and specs and trees.
Yeah, no, it's definitely interesting because no one knows exactly what's the best. I think, like as you said, they're all insanely good, and I feel like they all can work. I don't know if there even is a best one, or if it's so situational, or maybe Naja from Venthyr is super good. When it can reach 30 renown because of all the benefits you're getting.
Yeah,
which could make the case. But for now, I feel like it's so up in the air, like what is actually good because. If you like, to play with power, maybe it's nice to play with Radiant Spark. You play like a super all-in build, which I see a lot of people doing actually, or play Night Fae for all the mobility you're gaining and like reducing your cooldowns, and for the slow of the sheeps. And for now you get 2 early potencies. Like that's super strong. I feel like. And Ventur is just like kind of all around. You're getting a lot of utility, fire blast reduce, kick reduction at some point, like blind. Yeah, all really good. Hard to say.
Cool. Yeah, I'm in that same boat. They all seem really good. I've thought about Kyrian for that one shot. I've thought about going back Venthyr when we get familiar predicaments. But to be honest, the way Night Fae is feeling, I'm just like, man, this is fun, and we're owning anyways. It's not like we're losing games very often, so it's like, cool. Let's pick up Night Fae and have some fun with it for now. So I could see myself swapping to Kyrian or Venthyr. But for now, Night Fae's awesome, and especially come tomorrow for the next couple of weeks, I'll be really happy to be Night Fae. And then later on,
for sure.
I'll have to think about what the best is. So cool. I think we really covered talents, PvP talents, and the covenants. I think as far as soulbinds, I definitely want to just like scroll through them for people maybe watching, but Infernal Cascade and Control Destruction, really those two insanely good potency soulbind conduits, like we've touched on. What about for not potency, but the defensive conduits?
Endurance.
Yeah.
So I have only played with finesse because the tree I went potency into finesse. I'm not playing with endurance for now. I was always playing flow of time, the one that reduces your blink cooldown.
Yeah.
But due to what I talked about before with the shimmer, it being kind of a bug or something, or how it works, the interaction I don't think is very good with the conduit. So actually, over the last 3 days when I've been queuing, I've been playing with the one that reduces your counter spell called Grounding Search.
Yeah.
Like successfully interrupt the enemy with counter spell, reduces cooldown by 4 seconds. And I think this is really nice because your counter spell goes from 24 to 20. And it's even better because every single player is playing with Omnibar. And there is no one that actually realizes, I think, that counter spell is 20 seconds. So when it says 4 seconds left of your Omnibar, it's basically upright the counter spell.
Right. So you can kick someone, they don't even know you have a CS backup because they're tracking your cooldowns, but little do they know it's actually 4 seconds less. That's incredible.
Yeah. So when I was queuing yesterday a lot and the day before, so many people are casting when it's, they think they're safe, and then I lock them and they're like, what's going on? Like, why did I get locked here? Like yesterday I locked the druid on his regrowth and his teammate ended up dying because I pressed it right on cooldown from when it was up last time.
Yeah, that's cool. That really throws like a little like curveball in the metagame, right? Because it's hard to know if a mage 1 is playing this, but then if they are, to track, okay, did they lock, maybe they didn't lock you, but they locked your teammate. Like, did they actually lock my partner, or did he fake? And then if he faked, then it's a lot to think about. That's really interesting.
It's a lot to think about. Yeah.
So I actually,
really good.
I actually haven't had a finesse conduit because I am Night Fae and we have an endurance and potency, right? So I actually haven't even
choose actually. Or am I wrong?
So for Dreamweaver, oh yeah, I suppose I could.
You could, right? Because you can go left or right, and
you're right.
Can't get to the same spot anyway.
You're right. So I've been going diverted energy, and I guess I'll have you cover diverted energy. The barriers heal you for the damage absorbed, and specifically with Triune Ward.
The thing is, it works with Triune Ward, right? Because I've never played Endurance Conduit like on live servers, only on the beta.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so it works with Triune. It just seems broken. It seems really good, right? So I put up Try and Ward. I have all 3 barriers for, I guess, for people listening. I'll pull up Try and Ward real quick. But you have Ice Barrier, Prismatic Barrier, and Blazing Barrier at 65% effectiveness. You get this huge shield that's a little over 12,000 of shields total. And then every time you're taking damage, you're getting healed for 25% of the damage absorbed. So it'll actually heal a lot over the course of the game, especially when you need those heals, right? Like you're low HP, you pop the barriers, and you're actually getting healed, and you're absorbing damage. So your defensive ability from your shield is just nuts. It's crazy. I love it.
Yeah, I actually want to get an endurance one, but I think I get it like 21. I can take a look. I think 21. Yeah, it's at 21, so it takes a while for me to get one.
That's another thing I like about Night Fae right now is I can have Diverted Energy and Infernal Cascade and Controlled Destruction all within tomorrow.
That's crazy. That's crazy. And the worst thing about playing Venter for me right now is I actually can't even unlock a new slot at all. So I only have two slots until I'm 21 renown.
Wow.
Which is kind of far away actually. So Night Fae just having 3, not even just 2 potencies, just having 3 in general is, I think, really strong right now. That's what I've been thinking the last few days to go Night Fae just for until I reach renown 30.
Right. Yeah. Very, very interesting. So I think as far as the endurance conduits, a lot of people have been playing cryo freeze for like Rogue Mage 2s or solo play, which I think is a fine option. But I think for 3s or any instance where you're playing with a healer, Diverted Energy just seems really, really solid, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Cool. And then Tempest Barrier, maybe not so much.
I played with on beta, was like the one I used. I think it was okay, but I think like Diverted Energy, if it works so good with Try and Ward, is just like the obvious choice. And yeah, Cryo Freeze for Rogue Mage 2s is just good, or any, double DPS 2s.
Right. Okay, cool. And then with the Finesse Conduits, Flow of Time maybe later on when we get that cooldown blink reduce more, and then Grounding Surge for, like we already covered.
Yeah.
Sweet. So those are the conduits. Pretty covered there. For the legendary powers, right? A lot of people were making Arcane Harmony, Arcane Bombardment at first, and a lot of people playing Arcane. Since then, Triune Ward's been unlocked, and it seems as if almost everyone is playing Triune Ward or Fevered Incantation, which is the Fire Mage burst legendary. Can you maybe cover those two, and then let me know what you think about which legendary is maybe overall the better choice?
So I play with Triune Ward. I just think it's so solid to get the 3 barriers. You get the Ice Barrier for Fire Mage. You get the Ice Barrier, Prismatic Barrier, and your Molten Barrier. And the Ice Barrier gives people a slow as well. You get shield. It's 195% value because it's 65% for each shield. So you're almost having a double, absorb from a normal barrier, which is really nice. And every time someone immediately hits you, they get slowed by Ice Barrier, which is crazy. Like sometimes I'm like, wow, I can't believe I have such a nice slow every time someone reaches B.
Yeah,
Or
that's nice.
You get a Prismatic Barrier, which reduces dot damage by 15%, and CC by 25%. So like a Sheep or Fear is 25% reduced. It's like a Relentless, basically, right?
Yeah.
So I play Human Mage, I play Relentless and this. So every single time I see a mage casting Sheep, I don't have a kick or something, I just try to smash my barrier because the Sheep is like 4.5 seconds from an 8-second Sheep.
Yeah.
It's actually like almost half duration. It feels super good. And yeah, you're taking less damage. You can play Dampen Magic against Shadow Priest. You're getting the benefit from Prismatic Barrier, which means you're taking like 35% less dot damage.
Yeah. Wow.
Which is you're super tanky.
What I like about Prismatic Barrier, and I agree with you, because I actually started with I made Fevered Incantation as well, and I started with Fevered Incantation, and then I made Triune Ward. What I really like about Triune Ward is that it is a Dispel Protector for Combustion, first of all, if I'm not playing against a Kleptomania. Well. And Alter Time, yeah. But what I really like about it is I feel so safe, especially when I'm pairing it with the Endurance Conduit with the heals. I feel so safe that my playstyle is different. I feel like I can play it super aggressive, and I don't have to worry about dying. And not having to worry about dying means you can play in a way that you can really set up more kills. So Triune Ward is like the defensive option, right? But at the same time, it allows you to.
Offensive option, yeah.
It's almost like an offensive option because it allows you to play in a way that makes you make more plays, right? And that's probably my favorite part about Triune Ward is that I feel so safe with it that I can be the playmaker. And then Prismatic Barrier reducing magic effects, like less on Fear or Sheep or any of these CCs feels very, very nice. So prismatic barrier, and then the fact that I feel more offensive is why I'm locking in Triune for right now.
And this week for me, like this is the first week you could have Trine Ward because you had to open a Great Vault to get it. So the
Yeah.
first week I played without the legendary basically. I was just waiting to get this one.
Yep.
And rogues were really strong at the time, and I just felt like I'm just dying every game. Like a war is on me, a rogue is on me, I'm just dead. Like I have no Trine Ward, nothing. The moment I got it, yeah, and I got some more stamina and stuff, I feel so tanky.
So
I can
tanky.
just sit there in the middle of the map and just play offensive, peel my teammates. I can just sit there like a guard basically. Like, hey, you can't get through me, and I'm just gonna stand here. And this is what I'm doing right now because I'm so tanky.
Right. Yeah. That's definitely.
So it makes me play offensive. Yeah.
Cool. So Triune Ward locked in. I don't want to, like, for everyone listening, I don't want to discredit Fevered Incantation for fire. I think it, like you said, Cholubaba has been playing Fevered, and you can get crazy one-shots with it, and if you're not dying anyway, then hey, more power to you. But I just think overall, being able to reduce the CC and play more aggressive, Triune Ward seems like almost like a safer option, and Fevered Incantation might still work, but maybe just a little less safe is maybe a good way to say it.
Yeah, no, I agree completely. Trine Ward is probably the best option. Also, it's so nice because it's good with all the 3 specs, right?
Oh yeah, you can
Whatever
swap
spec
between
you're
Frost
playing
and
with.
Arcane.
Yeah, whatever spec you're playing, it's always going to be a good legendary. So it's the safest option and, probably the best option.
Cool. Quickly, I want to cover Firestorm because we do get a lot of questions. Because Firestorm was the first legendary that Fire Mages had access to. So a lot of people made Firestorm just because they could, similar to Arcane Harmony. And a lot of people say like, oh, dude, I made this. Is it good? Gives you Pyroblast. You can pop Combustion and just spam Pyros. Is this good? What are your thoughts for Arena with Firestorm?
I definitely think Firestorm is not bad. Like when it procs, you're really, really strong. But I just don't feel like it's necessary. It's like kind of the whole Rune of Power argument. As long as you're just tanky and you can make more plays because you are tanky, then that's why I think Trine Ward is like so much better. Like I don't think you need more damage, don't need more insta pressure. All you have to do is your damage is enough for now, at least in my opinion, with how the metagame is. So I feel like any offensive ones is kind of useless right now, at least in my opinion. But Firestorm is not bad. Like I do think it's kind of nice.
Cool. Okay, so not bad, but maybe not necessary, and relying on RNG is never a fun thing, right? Like relying on, oh, I'm waiting for my Firestorm proc. You're just like, no, dude, we need to go. Like we got the CC. Yeah. And then Molten Skyfall, the one that brings down a meteor on the target. I from my perspective, it just seems like it could break a sheep on accident. It could break a blind on accident. It's really hard to time it to where you actually get that meteor when you want it and where you want it, right? It just seems like a little.
I don't think it's good at all.
I like that.
I think it's
cool.
Useless.
And then Sun King's Blessing. Don't think so either. That's that final one that after consuming 12 hot streaks, your next non-instant Pyroblast cast within 15 seconds grants you Combust. I mean, that's just a PvE one. There's no way.
There's no way you're gonna sit still and cast a 3.8 second cast the Pyroblast. There is no chance.
Right. Okay, cool. So we covered talents. We covered PvP talents, covenants, conduits, and then legendaries, all for fire. I guess as far as Fire Mage right now, anyone listening should be covered. You should know exactly what to spec, what to play, playing with those melee cleaves, probably with the Disciplined Priest right now. You should be covered. I think quickly, just because we haven't shown much love to the Frost and the Arcane players out there. When we're playing Frost, when we're playing Arcane, is there an obvious Soulbind? Is there, like, we don't have to go super in depth like we did with Fire, but generally for Frost Mage, if you are a Frost Mage PvP player right now, conduits, covenants, just a quick recap. What are we thinking?
I actually really love, the same for Frost as I do for Fire. I think Ventir, Naja is so nice, especially because Frost doesn't have like any instant way to get CC. Like Fire can blink Dragon's Breath into sheep. Frost Mage has no way of really getting it, but if you play with Disorient, like the blind on a healer, you can just draw shadows in and it's a sheep. It's almost like a Dragon's Breath sheep, right? So Frost Mage also has like not deep freeze, but like a sort of deep freeze ish. You have it like a CC that you can do on your own, without relying on your teammates now. So I really like it, and just Mirrors of Torment gives you a brain freeze every time it consumes a charge. So sometimes what will happen is that I get a brain freeze, I sometimes I don't even launch it instantly. I get Brain Freeze proc, I then press Mercy of Torment, then I use my Brain Freeze proc, my Flurry, and then I instantly, the same moment I pick it up, basically, as soon as I launch it, if I spam it, I get another one. So I get 2 back-to-back ones.
That's great. That's a lot of burst. So
Yeah, and
I think for Frost, I definitely agree. Venthyr seems the play. Like Mirrors of Torment getting Brain Freeze and Brain Freeze being your best ability seems insane. And then not having Dragon's Breath means it's not DRing your own Dragon's Breath, meaning it's insane. Like I guess something I didn't talk about with Night Fae is that you can totally Night Fae blink in into Dragon's Breath.
yeah,
But for Frost, you can't really do that, right? I mean, so that Door of Shadows giving you that free Dragon's Breath is really cool. Like it's a play that you normally wouldn't have access to. Now you do.
Yeah, I think it's fantastic for Frost Mage. Actually, one of the reasons my stream keeps asking me why I'm still playing Venthyr is because I think for the other specs it's just so nice to have like,
Yep.
the Dragon's Breath-ish spell with Door of Shadows.
Cool. Yeah, and then as far as just like I said, we don't have to go all the way through Frost Mage talents. I am gonna bring it up here on the screen, but what talents are we going with? We have Bone Chilling, Lonely Winter, and Ice Nova. Bone Chilling, right, is Ice Nova rather, sorry, is the play there, right?
I think Ice Nova is usually nice, unless you feel like you need extra damage. Then Lonely Winter, Chain Reaction, you can play later down in the tree. It's a very nice combination. You're basically banking on your Ice Lances, dealing a lot of damage.
Mm-hmm.
And Ice Lance for now, for Frost is your best damage, which, I prefer for Frostbolt is your highest damage, but Ice Lance is your best damage for now, because, I'm a huge Frostbolter, like last expansion people probably know. But yeah, if you feel like you need the damage, lacking damage, or you don't feel like you need the Pet Root or the Ice Nova, because you lose the pet as well with playing, Lonely Winter, losing the Ice Nova, losing 2 roots by playing Lonely Winter. But your Frostbolt, your Flurry, and your Ice Lance is doing 25% more damage, which sometimes on beta I thought was very, very nice. You orb someone, you just mash your Ice Lance really hard. The Ice Lance were hitting like a truck, like insanely hard. But there's so many melees right now where I feel like the Ice Nova, the pet, getting the 2 extra roots. You can Ice Nova Monk, he rolls forward, you Ice Nova him, a word charges you, Ice Nova him, you cancel the charge or the roll. You get the distance, the guy can't reach you. I just think it's nice. Just having extra control over the game. And you can combo, with Deep Shatter, the PvP talent, you deal 150% more Frostball damage if they're rooted, target like Ice Nova or Pet Root. And you can do a lot of damage. Like it's guaranteed damage too, right? Because unless you're getting Flurry procs or you're getting Things of Frost procs, Lonely Winter is a bit of a dead talent in my opinion. But you have controlled damage playing with Ice Nova because Ice Nova, Frostbolt, Pet Nova, Frostbolt.
Right.
Just a safer option.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, Ice Nova is that safer option. Lonely Winter with that chain reaction, maybe a bit more aggressive, like we've seen with Fire. There's some options there as well. And we don't have to spend like a ton of time on this Frost talent tree like we really broke down with Fire, but I think we already talked about Shimmer and Ice flows and the pros and cons of each. And Canner's flow and versus Focus Magic versus Rune of Power, I think we already talked about. Although for Frost, since Icy Veins you can use a lot of the times just to get CC, I don't think Rune of Power for Frost is that good.
No, I don't think so either.
Yeah, because Icy Veins is a longer cooldown too, right? So
it's 3 minutes, yeah.
Yeah, so Rune of Power just becomes worse for Frost. So definitely in Canners here, maybe focus with that Holy Pally Shadow Priest comp. So 35 row, I guess we could talk about like Frozen Touch and Ebon Bolt and Chain Reaction. I personally love Frozen Touch, giving more Brain Freeze, just playing how I normally do, but I get more Brain Freeze. And Fingers of Frost, but I really like that Brain Freeze. What are your thoughts on Ebon Bolt and Chain Reaction?
So I haven't played with Ebon Bolt at all since like early BFA. I've been loving Frozen Touch, same as you, because you just get more Brain Freeze procs, more Fingers of Frost procs. It's just very nice. But in BFA, because on pre-patch or in BFA, your Frostbolt was doing like a lot of the damage. So getting more brain freezes and spamming brain. How you get the procs, the flurry procs, the brain freeze procs is by casting frostbolts. But this expansion is kind of hard to get a lot of frostbolts off with your shimmer being sort on cooldown and stuff like this. So I think most mages actually have been tending toward chain reaction because frostbolt, since you lost Tunnel of Ice trait in the BFA or the pre-patch, your frostbolt's not doing a lot of damage anymore, like almost nothing.
Yeah.
And you're banking so hard on your Ice Lances that chain reaction is actually very nice now.
Interesting. So I haven't played much of Chain Reaction, but would you think Chain Reaction would be the play even when not taking Lonely Winter? So when you pick Ice Nova, you'd still go Chain Reaction, or do you?
I think this is a question, depends on how many like melees you're facing. If you double melee cleave, I think chain reaction is pretty much always better because you know you don't want to orb, you want to smash your ice lances. However, if you're facing double caster comp and you can cast more frost bolts, you know, not as many interrupts, then I like frozen touch a lot.
Cool. That's a really cool distinction to talk about and to clarify, because I really haven't had that experience. I haven't played a ton of Frost, but yeah, that's really cool. So with Ring of Frost, Ice Ward, and Frigid Winds, I think almost always Ring of Frost. I think that Frigid Wind use case is there with double casters and just super dampening, but with playing with any type of melee or rogue or feral, right, having that Ring of Frost and then also being able to sheep is pretty solid.
I actually usually do play with freezing winds, the slow, unless I'm playing with sub rogue. That's when I go Ring of Frost.
Wow. Okay. So this is really
Yeah,
eye-opening.
because most slows in the game is 50%, and you having a 60% slow just means that you can always get like the small distance gap right, and the more frost spots you can get off, the better Frostmage is gonna feel right. So, and you know, it's like permanent. You know, Ring of Frost is a 45-second cooldown,
Mm.
and the other one is just like, you know, it's always up. You're just making enemy team slower and slower. You know, stacks good with your Blizzard, your Orb. I really like it. I know a lot of people ask why I don't play Ring of Frost more, but I just feel like creating the extra distance is super nice. And you're not Ring of Frosting that much unless you're playing with Sub Rogue anyway.
Right. Okay. So Ring of Frost with Rogue Mage setups, and then when you're not playing Rogue Mage setup kind of play style, and you're playing maybe Wizards, Affliction Frost Mage, or Shadow Priest Frost Mage, that extra slow, that makes a lot of sense. That's really cool.
Yeah, I really like that at least. And even your barrier, you know, someone hits your barrier, it's a 60% slow instead of a 50%.
Wow,
So
that's
just,
something
you know, someone goes and hamstrings you, it's 50%, you bear 60%. Now all of a sudden you can walk away. You know, your Con of Cold is gaining like a big slow value, right? I think it's up to like 80%, it was 85% last expansion from 70. So the Con of Cold slow is insanely huge.
Huh. Super cool. That's definitely really, really cool. I didn't think about using Frigid Winds in that way.
Yeah.
For this 45 row, Comet, Storm, and Splitting Ice, Freezing Rain, I think Comet Storm is usually the lock in here just because Splitting Ice breaks CC.
Yeah.
And then Freezing Rain is not enough value.
So I used to play Freezing Rain sometimes into like Unholy DKs and Demo Warlocks because you can reset your orb so fast.
Right. Uh-huh.
But they buffed Comet Storm a few patches ago, and Comet Storm right now is actually what I think is I consider Frostmage Burst. You Comet Storm, Ice Nova, the Comet Storm crits because they're rooted from the Ice Nova. The Ice Nova does good damage too, and I think that's like how you burst as a Frostmage right now. So I think Comet Storm is like almost always the choice.
Right. Man, I wish Frost Mage had a different playstyle besides Comet Storm, Ice Nova. I that's a whole nother video, but anyway. In this last row, we have Glacial, Ray of Frost, and Thermal Void. Ray of Frost is generally what we see here. Glacial is just a bit slow, and Thermal Void just gets purged anyway. Although Thermal Void on non-purge comps, if those even exist, might be a good option.
It's not bad, but Ray of Frost is so nice. You get two Fingers of Frost procs. Just from channeling it, the slow is really huge. It becomes, you know, the slow becomes stronger over time as well, the longer you're channeling. So at some point, I think the people are walking like 90-95% slower, which is, and also goes through the pillar, right? As soon as someone's close to the pillar, just channel it.
Right.
To keep up the damage, yeah.
Super cool, super cool. And then with the PvP talents, Deep Shatter, Concentrated Coolness, and I know you're going to say Klepto, right?
Always those three, always.
Always those three. Cool. So, I mean, that's Frost. We talked about Legendaries, too. That Shrine Ward for Frost is just insane. Is there any other Legendary you want to touch on, or is that just like the Freezing Winds, maybe? The Frozen Orb?
Freezing Winds I thought was really good on the beta because it also reduced the cooldown of your orb for every ice lance you press by 2.5 seconds, but they actually changed it, so it doesn't do that at all anymore. It used to give you both Fingers of Frost every 2.5 seconds and reduces the cooldown of your orb by 2.5 seconds for every ice lance you pressed while they were in orb. But they removed that part, so now I don't think it's that good anymore. It could be good. It's Unholy DK, you're playing Freezing Rain, you're like banking on, you know, all the pets, resetting your orb very fast, you know, smashing ice lances the whole game with Lonely Winter and Chain Reaction.
Okay.
But other than that, I think Triune Ward is just the best.
Triune Ward, then. Insane. And then for Conduits, I think that, I mean, we've covered the Endurance and the Finesse already. Those are for all three specs. Is there any Frost Mage specific potency conduits We have Frozen Orb damage. We have Blizzard's movement speed. We have Icy Veins. Crit. Your crit's reduced its cooldown, so you get like quicker Icy Veins, and then we get Ice Lance damage.
Yeah. So I definitely just think that Ice Bite, the Ice Lance damage is the best one.
Yep.
Because most of your damage is Ice Lance. And the second best potency has to be Unrelenting Cold, I think. You increase your orb damage.
Yep. Cool.
I don't think the other ones are that useful.
Sick. So I mean, so that's basically Frost Mage. Just like if we're doing it real quick, the talent breakdown, Conduit breakdown, Legendary breakdown, and then we talked about how Venthyr is really nice for Frost because of it not having Dragon's Breath and then allowing you to actually get that DB sheep as a Frost Mage.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's Frost. Have you played much Arcane or?
I play Arcane sort of in PV and in Torghast, but
Torghast, dude, me too. Torghast Arcane's awesome.
Because for the Invis, Arcane Blast.
Oh my god, dude! Even after the nerf, it's still pretty good.
Yeah, it does hit really hard. Like I think it's just the best one for this.
Yeah, I love it, dude. Although I have heard mirrors of image or mirror images rather when you get the enhanced ones, the intelligent ones. For fire, cast greater pyros.
Yes. On beta, I went up to like layer. It was like you could go endless layers, and I got up to like layer 25.
Oh man.
And I swear my mirror images were soloing everything. I was just waiting for them, and they were greater pyroblasting the mobs, and they were instantly dying.
Jeez.
Like all the elites even. That was so sick.
That's solid. Oh man.
Yeah.
All right, so to give Arcane Mage just a little bit of love here. Once again, we can go through it a little bit quicker. In terms of those talents, if we just have any Arcane Mage watchers, what are we doing here for the talents? I don't know if you have the talent tree out in front of you, but just if you just
it right now.
Yeah, if you just quickly want to start and just, you don't necessarily have to go through your reasoning for each, but just quickly boom, 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 boom.
So I play Amplification usually.
Yep.
I just feel like it's nice. You get Clear Cast, more Arcane Missiles. It's just like basically you burst as Arcane Mage almost, except for your Presence of Mind Arcane Power.
Yep.
You can play Master of Time or Shimmer. I usually play Shimmer because it's more used to, but I don't think Master of Time is bad. It's kind of nice. You reset your Siege of Blink as well. The cooldown of Alter Time actually becomes 30 seconds, which is insanely short. So I think it's a good defensive option. I don't know which one you like.
I like Shimmer for 3s, but for like 2s against like double Rogue or something, or Warrior Rogue or Warrior Monk or
yeah.
Something like that. Master Time is like my favorite way to get 1v2 clips because
Oh no, I can understand that. You have no cooldown in Alter almost, and you can blink often.
I mean, if someone is like a 1700 warrior is trying to kill you with Master Time, they'll never hit you. It's great. Like you can just run around for minutes. So it's really fun. But I think for 3s, Shimmer is
you can play with the flow of time, the blink reduction, because it works so well with the normal blink cooldown as well.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah. So I think that could be really good. But yeah, I usually play Shimmer because I'm just used to it, and it just feels good, to be blink while casting and stuff.
Yeah. And then we have go for it. Sorry.
Inclanter's Flow, I usually play on the next row, that 30 row. I guess you do the same.
Yep.
And on the next row, I do play Resonance, but I'm not so sure. I sometimes think Nether Tempest is kind of nice as well.
Yeah.
Because it's just annoying to have it on you, and it keeps people in combat. People can't re-stealth, and the damage is okay. I don't know, which one do you like?
It still breaks CC, right? Nether Tempest. So that's the only reason.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that's the only reason I don't play it for like solo play, and then like really, it would almost be like the same use case as like a Living Bomb, right? Like you get like something to press sometimes to keep someone or to, I remember talking to Volts about this. He's an Arcane Mage on the US, and he seems to like it a little bit. What I like about Resonance is that, it's 15% increased damage per target it hits, and something that isn't intuitive when you read it is that one target is 15%, right?
Yeah, so it just hits harder.
It just hits harder even if it's one target. And I didn't initially read it that way. I was thinking, if it hits 2, it's more. If it hits 3, it's more. But what it really reads is for per target, one target is 15% more damage. So I really like that aspect of Resonance.
Yeah, no, I agree. I usually always play Resonance as well.
Cool. And then the next one, Chrono Shift, Ice Ward, and Ring of Frost.
I actually like Chrono Shift super much. I think it's so nice to run so fast, and you
Me
also
too.
slow them without actually pressing slow. Even though the Chrono Shift slow doesn't last that long, and usually have to press slow anyway because it lasts way longer. And also slow got buffed this expansion where it's 60% instead of 50%.
Yeah.
But I don't know, I like Chrono Shift. I guess you can play Ring of Frost 3 to play with Rogue or something
Mhm.
sometimes, but I like Chrono Shift.
Dude, I'm the same as you. I love Chrono Shift so much that it just feels like it's this talent that makes Arcane Arcane, and taking it
Yeah.
away to play Ring, it just, even though Ring is insane with the sub rogue, it just feels almost never worth it. So Chrono Shift almost always, yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's the best talent for Arcane. It's so nice to play with.
So nice, yeah. And we have Arcane Orb. I pretty much always lock in Arcane Orb. I don't know about you. It's so good.
I always play Arcane Orb too. Like Supernova, I guess could be nice because you can like knock someone in the air, interrupt a cast or something.
Mm-hmm.
If it's important, you know, the enemy rogue sheep just your healer, and the mage casts a sheep, you knock him up, you interrupt his cast. But Arcane Orb is so good, and the cooldown is kind of short.
Yeah. It's also a decent amount of damage. So yeah, I really love the
Yeah, it
lock
does.
in.
It does.
And
Yeah.
then
No, I have
Enlightened, overpowered, and Time Anomaly, man. Like, I get so many questions about this talent row when I'm playing Arcane. So Time Anomaly, I don't know if it's bugged, but Time Warp doesn't actually work in Arena. So you can only get Arcane Power or Evo. The Time Warp will never proc because Time Warp just
Okay.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
Enlightened is just that very basic good ability, right? It's giving you more mana or more damage always, and that's just good. And then Overpowered, which is actually nerfed in Arena to, do you know what it's nerfed to? Is it 30?
30%?
I think it's 30, yeah.
I think so too.
So it's a nerfed Overpower in Arena. What's the lock in here for you?
Hmm. I have been playing with Enlighten the most, but I kind of like Overpower lately a bit. Like, you know, you're doing some more damage with your Arcane Power and Presence of Mind, which is kind of short CDs. They're not that long cooldown, so I do kind of like it. I've never played with Time Anomaly. I don't even know if it's good or not at all.
Yeah.
Which one do you play with?
I play Enlightened always. I just feel like
Yeah.
the it's the same argument with Encanners versus Ring or Rune of Power, right? It's just always helping me a little bit. And to be honest, with Overpowered, since it's nerfed, I think to 30, it's
Yeah.
I mean, it's barely giving you an increase over what Enlighten would give you with that 8% extra damage. So it's like barely more damage, and then it's only on your cooldown. So I don't know. I think Enlightened, but I don't know.
No, I'm playing Enlighten the most as well. I think it's the safest option. Even though I kind of like Overpowered because it's, you know, some extra damage, but Enlightened, yeah, it's probably the best choice.
Cool. And then Arcane Empowerment, Temp Shield, and Mass Invis are like my 3 PvP talent lock-ins.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, cool. And I don't play Klepto much as Arcane just because I feel like Arcane, one of the pros of it is that you can just mash Klepto every global and have every buff on the entire enemy team.
Yeah, but it's also good to spend mana as Arcane, right, for your procs.
I see, right. So not being able to use it to spend mana might, like, just using Klepto will hurt you even more, is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. So Klepto not so much as Arcane, and that's kind of the talent and PvP talent breakdown. As far as the legendary powers, I've seen a lot of Triune Ward, and I've seen a lot of Arcane Bombardment. I haven't made Bombardment, but I think it's pretty good. What do you think about
Arcane Barrage? Hits really, really hard. I've seen like up to like 12k Arcane Barrages, you know, and the damage is kind of nuts when someone's like, you know, 35% or lower.
Yeah. Super.
But I'm still not so sure. Triune Ward is so good; it gives so many benefits. So I'm not so sure if it's actually better.
Yeah.
Also, it's hard to sometimes bring people as Arcane like low, like to 35% because it's a dead legendary unless they're like, you know, low health, right? And sometimes as Arcane, I feel like it's hard to get the guy to that percentage. So that then it becomes kind of useless, like the actual talent. And if they're gonna die, like if you get a full sheep on someone anyway, I always had the logic that the guy's gonna die if you have this or not anyway, if you pressure barrage most of the time. Like it's rarely that I think that Arcane Bombardment actually kills the target.
Right. It's one of those things where it's like really nice if you can get it to crit for 18,000, which you can, but the realistic perspective behind that actually happening is like they would have died almost every time in that instance anyway. So
yeah,
I could see Shrine Ward actually just being better for Arcane too, which is crazy. So cool, man.
It's the good legendary though. That is good. It's good. There's nothing wrong about it. It's just Shrine Ward is the safest for all 3 specs, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, my same thoughts here. And then we have Venthyr. Kyrian, Night Fae, not Necrolords. I think Venthyr, like we mentioned, is really valuable for Arcane. I think Familiar Predicaments really helps Arcane.
Yes, very
Although
much.
the highest rated Arcane on US, so Volts, is generally the one who always plays Arcane and always gets rank 1 as Arcane. Actually told me he was going Venthyr, and then at last minute swapped up to Night Fae, and because mainly of the reasoning you can undo the lockouts with shifting power, and he likes being able to get the lockouts out.
Yeah, that's what you said before. I didn't even know about this, which sounds really nice actually. And Arcane, you know, if you get locked, you're in trouble, and you're useless because you have basically one school to press.
Yeah, and then I don't know if here I'm gonna link you Corain from Night Fae Tree, but this is actually pretty cool too that Volt showed me. So Wild Hunt Tactics, that first ability there, you actually get 15% movement speed, which would stack on top of like an Arcane Barrage movement speed. So you're just zooming like super fast, like 70%, 75% movement speed, like the whole game. No, I guess 65% movement speed the whole game, or a lot of the game with Wild Hunt Tactics. And then Wild Hunt Charge, that first one on the right there. While out of combat, your Soul Shape's teleport becomes a charge, stunning your target. And what you can actually do is mass invis, Soul Shape, and stun people. And I think for Arcane, Night Fae, Wild Hunt Charge, like Volts, so credit to Volts for showing.
Like a deep freeze almost.
Yeah.
And then sheep someone out, yeah.
I mean, it's still a minute cooldown, or a minute and a half cooldown, and you'd have to pair with invis, but having a stun, especially for solo play, for 2s, maybe even for 3s, if you want that extra stun at the end of a go, you could always like mass invis, Wild Hunt Charge, like just really cool things you could do with that.
You have to be out of combat, right? That's why. Yeah, well, out of combat, yeah, so you have to invis.
Okay, have to invis, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, interesting to think about, at least for Night Fae. But yeah, I think overall Venthyr, once you get 30 for that Familiar Predicaments for Arcane, and the Door of Shadows, and the Mirrors of Torment, probably overtakes it. But something cool to think about for Night Fae, definitely.
The only problem with Mirrors of Torment to Arcane Mage is that, you know, for Frost it gives Brain Freeze, for Fire Mage it gives Fire Blast reduction, but for Arcane Mage it gives you 4% mana back.
Yikes, yeah, it's bad.
It's pretty bad. It's pretty useless.
Yeah. And then for the Conduits for Arcane, I've actually looked at them. They're all not the greatest, man. We have each wave of Clear Cast reduces the cooldown of Arcane Power. We have Arcane Barrage has a 4% chance to give you Arcane Charges. We have Touch of the Magi accumulates additional damage, which is very useless in PvP, most of the time at least. And then we have Consuming Clear Cast increases the damage of your next Arcane Blast, which
that's
is
probably the best one, right?
Probably, but I would go so far as to say the Potency Conduit for the Covenant. So Disciple of the Grove that makes Shifting Power give you more cooldown reduction might actually just be better, or like the Covenant specific ones, you know, that helps Radiant Spark, that helps Mirrors of Torment, might actually be, because they're all bad for Arcane.
Yeah, no, I see, I'm reading them right now. But if I had to pick one, I don't know, but I think Nether Precision is the best one. Like, Consuming Clear Cast increases the damage of your next Arcane Blast by 8%, but none of them is great.
Yeah,
that's true.
Totally. Yep, absolutely. So I mean, whew, that was, dude, I think we covered like everything. That was actually way longer than I thought we would go, like way longer.
Same.
Sorry about for keeping you for so long. But that was awesome, man. Is there anything else as closing thoughts you want to add to any of the specs or any of the nuances of Shadowlands and compositions or legendary powers, conduits, anything? Or do you think, I mean, we covered a lot.
No, we did. I can't actually think of some. We covered so many things. It's crazy. I went over most things, and even small bugs and stuff. Interactions, you know, with the Blink Conduit, Door of Shadows bug, stuff like this. How shifting power versus kick lockouts, like those are things like I didn't even know all of these things.
Dude, we need to like upload this as like a master class, like a mage master class, and like charge for it or something. But man, anyone who's watching this on YouTube right now, there's a lot of value in here for mages and Shadowlands. This is everything you guys need to know to hop into any of the 3 specs and get started in Arena. This is really, really cool. Thank you so much to Raiku for sitting down today, spending the last almost hour and a half, 2 hours and hanging out. Definitely go ahead and follow him on Twitter. I'm at Raiku_WoW, and on Twitch at RaikuBest. If you guys don't already, he's streaming a lot of high-ranked Mage PvP play. Definitely worth the time to hang out in his chat and learn from the best of the best. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Thanks for being here. Guys, if you enjoyed content like this, please let me know by leaving a comment down below about what you enjoyed about this. Do you want to see more of this kind of stuff with these long-form mage chats where we really deep dive into the spec? And if you enjoyed, hit that subscribe button, and definitely don't forget to show Raiku some love over on socials as well. Thanks for being here, guys. And with that, we're out. Peace.